On today's episode, Andalusia Texas whiskey. Welcome to KIllco Whiskey Musings. My name is Brian. If you happen to have this whiskey, I hope you'll join me in this tasting experience. If not, please pour one of your favorites, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. And for those who have been following along with my Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook madness, you may be aware that I went to Texas not long ago, so I have to do a Texas whiskey video. I should point out I wanted to do the actual trip video, but I've just not been up to it recently. Oh, that was so easy. I should also say I've had this whiskey before because I went to Texas and had this whiskey, and this is the one specifically out of the tasting lineup that I preferred. Oh, I mean, doing it this way seems like a really bad idea to me, but ooh, yeah. Okay. I mean, I do like this one, so it's, it's fine. Distilled and bottled in Blanco, Texas, USA. And certified Texas whiskey. I also like finding this on the side. So when I bought it, distiller, aged a minimum of 3 years in a charred oak barrel. We begin with the color. Look at this. This is golden almost. And of course, since I said that out loud already, the appearance is gold. Clarity is clear, certainly. I do not see any sediments. The viscosity, let's see if we can show it on the camera. I'll say 3. Begin nosing technique. Oh, whoa. God damn it, I'm getting a clean glass smell again. My glassware is clean, which is good, but Now, if I didn't say it earlier, this is triple distilled. This is very similar to an Irish type style of whiskey, which is probably why I like it so much. I'm having a hard time with the nose. There's an apple honey vibe going on. Oh, it's kind of grain heavy. I've never been near a grain silo or even in one, but I'm just thinking of a giant pile of grain as for that dust hanging in the air. It might smell like this. It's sweet as well. So sweet. Make me think of honey biscuits. I'm also realizing I haven't eaten dinner yet. Ha! There was a bit of a green note at the start, which kind of threw me off, and I couldn't really tell if it was the whiskey or just the clean glassware, but it seems to be fizzled out by now. And it could have also been the fact that it was just a neck pour, so that might have been part of it. But it's fizzled, it's gone. Don't worry about it. Just thought of peanut. I don't get peanuts on anything, usually. I'm also getting a little bit of char. Just a bit. Onto the palate. Oh my god, it's so good. Oh, it burns. It's so good. It's going to be really hard to describe this one because I just enjoy it a lot. Like, this was basically an excuse for me to open this bottle so I can start to drink it. Now we hold it on the tongue and give it a little bit of analysis. It's just all honey. Oh, a little buttery, a little bit of spice, a little pepper, a little pep. The texture is wonderful. That's another key thing for me. I need to have good texture on the whiskey. You would have no idea this thing was 3 years in a barrel in Texas. I mean, again, the color already 3 years minimum. I do recall that the nose didn't match the palate. Like there's some things that are just like, what? What's that? For me, at least in this. But as far as the taste of it, oh god, I could guzzle this stuff. I shouldn't do that, but I'm very likely going to pour a hefty amount of this once the video is over because I just love this stuff, okay? I'm an Andalusia fanboy. I'm sorry. You can stop the video now. It's really good. We're done. Thank you for joining me on KIllco. Sweet and friendly. Approachable. And it's great to have a Texas whiskey like this. It's always been an Irish triple distilled sort of thing, but bringing this here and having it get so close in Texas heat and so quickly, kind of astounding. It's reminding me of Honey Nut Cheerios, or specifically like the Honey Nut Cheerios milk after you finish the Honey Nut Cheerios. Sounds a little gross, but if you were a kid and you ate that stuff, you just drink it at the end. And if you didn't, you're wasting food. How dare you? There's also a slight, I think, a bitter kick right as it starts. So sip, sweet, bitter kick, and then it just mellows out. A little bit of dryness. The mouthfeel is incredible. I don't know how they did it, but it's it is honey-esque. It's got caramel notes as well, but really it's this honey-forward, inviting, delicious stuff. And I really wish I could get it all the time, but it's all the way in Texas. And until Total Wine or something starts bringing it up here in New England, it's the only bottle I have until next time I'm down there. Sad face. I'm already starting to have a problem here because I'm drinking it and just drinking it and drinking it way too fast. On to the nose. Intensity on this is 2. And I'm kind of being generous with that. The age? Well, I'm very tempted to say youthful because I know this did not spend a lot of time down there because of Texas heat doing its thing. But I want to say moderate. Like, just because of the color, if nothing else, it makes it seem like a moderate aged whiskey, even though I know it's probably fairly young. We found out earlier it was new charred oak barrels. The grain always throws me for a loop. I have to remember it's a single malt, meaning it is barley, and it is wonderful. I get no distinctive smoke notes on this. If I do, it's incredibly light, and that might just be the char sticking out a bit. Spice, it's a little black pepper. Nothing really super spicy about this. Usually I get spice out of ryes and some bourbons, but with this triple distilled, almost Irish thing, it's very mellow but also very sweet, and it will be more apparent in, of course, the sweet category, which is next. For me, this is honey. Oh, delicious, wonderful honey. A touch of vanilla, some caramel notes, little cereal, and honestly, Texas whiskey, Andalusia specifically, has done something truly amazing with this whiskey. And this really feels like one I need to have all the time. I mean, I'm not that kind of person usually. If I finish a bottle, I don't always refill it, but this one, I wish I had this all the freaking time. It is not incredibly floral. At best, I might say honeysuckle. And, of course, there are no wine notes in this to me. Fruit, I did get a little apple at the start. It's kind of faded. And I could barely be convinced of a honeyed apricot. Apricot? Apricot? Whatever. There is no sulfur on this. I did get peanut, so I will say nutty, but again, that was very random, and it could just have been, nutty. Maybe cashew sounds a little more appropriate. And a touch of hay. A touch, just a touch. Palate phase 2. Oh, it's so good. Very few whiskeys have I got like this and just fanboyed so hard. Again, admittedly, I had this already. I know I like it. This is more of a tasting experience. Flavor is sweet. So sweet. Proof 3. That is 50%, 100 proof. The body of this is at least 4. Oh yeah. It lingers. It coats your entire mouth. Oh, so good. Texture is creamy and round because it has the same thing I've had before where I talk a start, a middle, and a finish. And it's light, oddly enough. It's creamy, but it's also light, and it just sticks around. And it's so good. Again, I'm going to keep saying that. I apologize. Does any element dominate? Good question. I'll just ask them. No, it's very sweet, so I'll give that as kind of the dominant. But it's got a nice start, very sweet start, a little bit of dry, and then a long finish. It lingers, and again, the texture of it just coats your entire mouth and stays there, and just is it's like a hug. It's a whiskey hug. Those are my favorite. Finish is certainly a 4. I wouldn't say it's ridiculously long, but it sticks, and it makes it very enjoyable to sip, and then just let it take you away briefly, and then a minute or 2 later, sip again, and enjoy the experience once more. I will give the complexity, I'm going to give it a 3, leaning towards 2. With many Irish whiskeys, and this is in the Irish style, not overly complicated and just very enjoyable. This is a great introductory whiskey. Even at the high proof, it does not drink it like the proof. I mean, granted, I did have a little bit of start with that, but that's kind of how it is with me in whiskeys oftentimes. At the start, after the first one, it's much easier to enjoy, which I'm going to do all night. I'm not really going to pour more of this before this video even ends, so. I was going to go to the website for this, but I feel like what they have on the back is just as relevant. And this kind of sums up what I've said. It doesn't have real tasting notes on here. I will read the back to you because you probably can't get a bottle of this easily unless you're in the Texas region. Andalusia Whiskey Company produces handcrafted malt whiskeys deep in the Texas Hill Country, a scene reminiscent of the hills of Andalusia, Spain. Our grain to glass, which I love, I wish more places did that, creation begins with the mash of the finest grains. They are double distilled in our copper pot stills and then patiently aged in charred oak barrels. Smaller print. Andalusia Triple Distilled Texas Single Malt Whiskey is made in the classic Irish distilling tradition. While most Scotch whiskies are double distilled, the Irish discovered that a third distillation in their copper pot stills produces a smoother, lighter bodied whiskey. See, to me, this body is pretty. The delicate flavor of malted barley is allowed to shine after aging in a charred American oak barrel. Slancha. Already putting a dent in it, folks. I made my choice. Leave me alone. There you have it, folks. I cannot talk up Andalusia's triple distilled any more than I already have. I hope you get to try it someday. Go down there, do the sample flight. It's amazing. All of the stuff there is delicious. Oh, I wish I could go back already. As always, live long and prosper. Don't forget to be awesome. And I will see you out there. Thank you for joining me on KIllco Whiskey Musings. You can find my social media and Patreon in the links below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.